Hello, everyone. This is Kim Ware, and this week we're taking a deep dive into intercultural communication. So, I'm going to take this mini lesson opportunity to talk to you more about how to understand culture and look specifically at two major concepts that you'll be using for this week's assignment. So, first of all, let's just define culture. Culture is a learned system of knowledge, behavior, attitudes, beliefs, values, and norms shared by a group of people. So let's zero in on attitudes, beliefs, and values, which is something we learned about last week, and just remind ourselves what that means and how that plays into culture. So, your attitude, think about that in terms of your likes and your dislikes. You may really like ice cream and you may not like ice cream. Beliefs, this is the way that you structure reality. It's what's true and what's false for you. In our textbook, we talk about how we believe that it's true that the sun is going to come up every morning. And we believe that based on prior experience. And then values, that is our enduring concept of right and wrong. So waking up and breaking into this lock to steal something is probably an enduring value of being something that is wrong. From a very early age, we learn that it's not okay to steal. So remember, culture is a learned system. We don't get born with a prescribed culture. We are born into a family or into a group of people, and from there, we learn a particular culture. Now, what about the process of developing culture? There are two terms that are processes, not types, processes that a person can go through when it comes to culture. The first process is enculturation. And this is where we're looking at this sweet dad and his kid there. This is how we teach that system to one generation and then on to the next. So this dad is going to impart his knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, and values to his kiddo. And then his kiddo is probably going to do that for his kids and so on. So that's enculturation with an E. Now let's look at acculturation with an A, or acculturation. This is the transmission of values and ideas and beliefs from one culture to an outsider. So this is where we are assimilating or acculturating someone else who is outside our culture. So I put up a picture of soccer because soccer is called soccer in some places, but what's it called in other places? It's called football. So just because you go from one culture to the next and you see this kind of ball and you see those cleats and you see those shin pads, means that it's going to be exactly what you know it to be. And the rules might even be a little bit different. So you have to be enculturated into the values, ideas, and beliefs from one system of soccer to another system of soccer. And this is Kim speaking from an American's perspective, where we call soccer soccer. But in other countries, as you well know, it's called football. So those are processes. Now let's look at types of culture. So we look at two very specific types of culture in this class. You're going to be using this for the first part of your assignment this week. So we use individualistic or collectivistic. When we're talking about an individualistic culture, we're talking about where we place value, again, value on individual achievement and personal accomplishment. So we're looking at the person as a person of one. In an individual culture, we are loosely knit socially. So there's not this huge buy-in to all for one and one for all. It's more about what you're doing, what your goals are, and where your responsibility lies. In an individualistic culture where it's loosely knit socially, the responsibility is on the self, and you're a care for your immediate family, not everybody on your street. Some great examples of this are the United States, Canada, and Australia. Now, in deep contrast, we have collectivistic cultures, and this is where we value the group and we value the team accomplishments. What you do personally is not nearly as important as what you're doing as a group. And in a collectivistic culture, when I come into that culture, I'm expecting to receive support from others. I'm expecting to give support to others, and I feel a strong sense of loyalty to my community. So collectivistic cultural types, just to name a few: Costa Rica, Panama, Taiwan. Now, these are disparate ends of the spectrum, and throughout all of the world, you can see variations of individualism and collectivism. So in your assignment, I'm really looking for you to say, I believe it is this type of culture, and here's why. Make a case for why you believe what it is. Along with types of culture, we have contexts of culture. So when you think about a context, think about being in particular situation. So the context of culture can be in terms of high context, or it can be in terms of low context. So when we're talking about context regarding culture, we're talking about the cultural nonverbal cues that give information not explicitly communicated through language. So high context cultures place a high reliance on nonverbal communication. They're more expressive. They're using their hands. They're using their volume in very different ways than you would see in a low context culture. So high context cultures, we see that in terms of Japan, China, and Italy, just to name a few. Low context cultures, this would be the United States, Australia, and Germany. And this is where we are going to place a high reliance on words and less on the expression. So we're not looking so much at all your body language, which could seem really extreme to a low context person if you're coming from a high context culture. We are listening to what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. What words do you use? So as a review, we've talked about what culture is. It is a learned system of knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, values. We've talked about processes of culture. So these are things that are happening in culture, not cultural types. Processes include enculturation and acculturation. And finally, we looked at types of culture: individualistic, that I in the front, focus is on me, versus collectivistic, a collection where the focus is on the group, and then the context. Are we a high context culture where we are placing a high emphasis on your nonverbals, or are we a low context culture where we're really focusing on the words that are being said? If you have any questions, please let me know. I am happy to help you, and I look forward to seeing you this week. Bye-bye now.